It begins with a man who didn't belong anywhere, yet found his home inside the wires. A wandering figure drifting through bus stations, abandoned buildings, and half-lit internet cafes, carrying nothing but a backpack, a laptop, and a mind sharp enough to slice through the firewalls of America's biggest corporations. His name was Adrian Lamo. To most people, he looked homeless. To the cyber world, he was a ghost, a phantom who could slip in and out of networks without leaving footprints. Born in Massachusetts, raised by a Colombian father and a restless mother, Adrian grew up moving from city to city, never settling, never fitting in. He dropped out of high school, taught himself to code, and discovered that while he struggled with the real world, he could conquer the digital one. Lamo lived like a drifter. No apartment, no steady income, just public Wi-Fi, open networks, and a growing reputation as the homeless hacker. A prodigy who could compromise the systems of global giants from a library computer or a dusty corner of a Greyhound station. But beneath the mystery, beneath the brilliance, there was something else, a mind that didn't see hacking as crime, but as exploration. A way to understand systems that were built to be unbreakable. This was the life that shaped him, and the life that would one day collide with a young Army analyst named Chelsea Manning, creating one of the most controversial decisions in hacking history. And it all starts here, with a ghost who lived in the shadows and found power in the glow of a borrowed screen. Adrian Lamo didn't become a legend by staying in the shadows. He became one by slipping into places no one thought a drifter with a broken laptop ever could. His targets weren't small. He went after giants. Corporate fortresses worth billions, breached by a man using public Wi-Fi and borrowed computers. He didn't need money or power or a motive that made sense to anyone but him. For Lamo, hacking was a puzzle, and every locked system was an invitation. But his greatest break-in, the one that turned him into a cyber legend, came when he infiltrated the New York Times. He didn't just slip through their security. He walked straight into their internal network, created fake accounts, explored confidential databases, even accessed the profiles of top journalists. To the Times, it was a nightmare. To Lamo, it was curiosity. And this is where the world couldn't decide what he was. Some said he was a criminal. Others said he was a genius who was doing companies a favor by exposing their weak spots. Lamo insisted he wasn't malicious. He always contacted the companies afterward, explaining how he got in, even offering to help fix the vulnerabilities. That made him something unusual in the early 2000s, a hacker who wasn't fully black hat, but definitely not white hat. He lived in the messy, unpredictable space in between, a gray hat outlaw. But the more networks he slipped into, the more attention he attracted, not just from the media, but from federal agents watching closely as his intrusions got bolder. Lamo was playing a dangerous game, and he knew it. But the thrill, the challenge, the adrenaline of breaking into digital fortresses pulled him deeper every time. What he didn't know was this. All of these hacks, every risk, every headline, every step into the gray, were leading him toward a moment that would define his entire life. A moment that would arrive in the form of a young Army intelligence analyst, quietly messaging him from a war zone. It started with a message, a quiet ping on Adrian Lamo's screen, from someone he had never met, in a place he had never been. A young Army intelligence analyst, reaching out from a war zone. The voice on the other end was calm, polite, almost fragile. They introduced themselves as Chelsea Manning. And at first, it felt like just another curious conversation, one hacker talking to someone who admired his work. But this chat was different. Manning wasn't looking for tips, or validation, or bragging rights. She was carrying a secret, one that felt too heavy, too explosive, too world-altering to keep inside any longer. Piece by piece, message by message, she began to confess. She told Lamo she had leaked some of the most sensitive documents the U.S. military had ever held. Battlefield reports, diplomatic cables, raw footage of war, files that revealed things the public was never meant to see. And all of it was already in the hands of WikiLeaks. Lamo read the messages, watched them scroll across his screen, and felt the weight settle on him like a storm. He wasn't just talking to a lonely soldier anymore. He was sitting at the epicenter of a global earthquake, one that hadn't shaken the world yet, but soon would. Manning trusted him. She believed Lamo was like her, an outsider who questioned authority, someone who understood the urge to reveal the truth. Someone safe. But Lamo didn't feel safe. Not with what he was hearing. Not with the magnitude of what she had already done, and what she was planning to do next. He felt torn in two directions. One part of him, the hacker, the rebel, saw Manning ace a whistleblower risking everything to expose hidden truths. The other part, the citizen, the pragmatist, the man who knew the weight of consequences, believed people could die because of her leaks. And so the conflict began, inside him, between loyalty and responsibility, between hacker ethics and national security, between doing what felt right and what might save lives. Hours turned into days, and their conversation deepened. Manning poured out her fears, her frustrations, her sense of moral duty. Lamo listened, typing slowly, watching a decision form in his mind that would change both their lives forever. Because in the end, Adrian Lamo made a choice, one that would ignite outrage, fracture the hacker community, and turn him from a legend into a target. He chose to report her, and the moment he pressed send on that message to Army investigators, everything spiraled. Manning's arrest, the headlines, the fury, the betrayal, and for Adrian Lamo, a storm of consequences he could never escape. Their chat had begun with a simple question. It would end with one of the most controversial decisions in cyber history. When Adrian Lamo reported Chelsea Manning, everything flipped overnight. The hacker community that once praised him instantly turned on him. Forums lit up with one word: traitor. People he considered friends cut him off. Some threatened him. Others hunted for his location. Lamo wasn't a legend anymore. He was a target. Meanwhile, Manning's arrest hit global news. A lone army analyst accused of leaking some of the most sensitive documents in modern history. To the world, the story became simple. Manning the whistleblower, Lamo the snitch. But inside Lamo, nothing felt simple. He defended his choice publicly, repeating the same line. There were no right decisions, only less wrong ones. He said people could have died. He said he had a responsibility. But the more he explained, the more the world rejected him. The isolation crushed him. Friends gone. Support gone. Opportunities gone. And as Manning faced prison, Lamo faced something different. A slow unraveling. Anxiety. Paranoia. Fear that someone, somewhere, would eventually come for him. His life became smaller, quieter, darker. And the consequences of that one decision, one message he could never take back, began to swallow him whole. After the Manning case, Adrian Lamo's life collapsed. He lost friends, lost support, and disappeared from the hacker world he once dominated. His messages became paranoid. His interviews sounded fearful. He believed people were watching him, following him, waiting. On March 14, 2018, Adrian Lamo was found dead in a small apartment in Kansas. He was 37. No clear cause. No foul play. No answers. Just a quiet, unexplained death that left the world guessing. Some blamed health issues. Some suspected drugs. Others believed it was something darker. But nothing was ever proven. Lamo's legacy became a contradiction, a brilliant hacker who exposed holes in giant systems, a drifter who never found a home, a man hailed as a protector by some and a traitor by many. And one choice, reporting Manning, became the decision that defined him forever. In the end, the man who lived in the shadows died with a mystery that still lingers. In a world where cyber threats grow stronger every day, knowing who to trust matters more than ever. And that's why companies turn to Telarus, a cybersecurity force built on advanced AI, designed to detect threats before they strike. To learn how Telarus protects organizations from the dangers hidden in the digital world, visit telarus.com. And if you want more deep dive cyber stories like this, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for the next investigation.